the great Welshman. So we're ready to go for the Shanghai Masters final. Judd Trump against Shaun Murphy. Both players looking to win this trophy for the first time. Both have been in finals in Shanghai before.
Thank you. The first
10
break.
frames in this first session. 11 is the target to be crowned champion. Stephen Hallworth alongside me for this final. Stephen, you won the English Amateur Championship, and I know you're very proud to have your name on that trophy along with the great Ray Reardon.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a touching tribute there, wasn't it? You know, Ray, one of the greats of our game. Nice to see as well the minute silence. It's not necessarily in everyone's culture to do that, but the snooker world coming together for that will be sadly missed, won't he? Yeah, real honour to share that English amateur title. Ray, of course, winning it back in 1964.
Incredibly, he made a century break as recently as last November. Of course, he beat Jimmy White in the 1982 Professional Players Tournament when he was aged 50, and that remains a record, the oldest ranking event winner. And there have been warm tributes from the top players in the game in the wake of the news, including Judd Trump, who paid a very nice tribute after his victory yesterday over O'Sullivan. He said he meant a lot to everyone in the game, especially the Welsh players. They owe a lot to him. I think you've seen how much respect he has from Ronnie O'Sullivan and Mark Williams. You can tell what he means to all of the players. He's a legend. Someone that will go down in the history books of Welsh sport. He is the flag bearer for Welsh snooker. It's a sad day, and best wishes to all of his friends and family. And I know those comments would be echoed by Shaun Murphy, who was delighted to receive the Ray Reardon trophy from the great man himself when he won the title back in 2020. In terms of the head-to-head between this pair, Trump leads overall by 14 victories to 9, and he's won the last 3. Most recently the Riyadh Invitational. Murphy's most recent win came in 2022 in a decider at the UK Championship.
What a treat we're in for, though, with this pair in the final, contesting this massive event, the Shanghai Masters. You know, the routes the player have taken to get here. Judd coming through, Mark Williams, Si Hui, and beating Ronnie yesterday. Murphy seeing off Higgins, Yu Long and Mark Selby. I think on paper as well, you look at the matches that they've played and the standard that they've got to and been able to produce. For me, these have been by far the best 2 players of this event. It's just teed it up nicely for this final.
Two very different semi-finals in terms of the narrative. Of course, in the case of Murphy, he was coming from a long way behind against Mark Selby, winning 8 of the last 10 frames. For Trump, well, he very much led from the front against O'Sullivan, blitzing the great man with 8 of the first 9 frames to end Ronnie O'Sullivan's 21 match winning streak in this tournament. So it's Shaun Murphy with the first red of the final.
1.
Murphy himself was runner-up here to O'Sullivan in 2019. That was a very close final. 11-9, O'Sullivan prevailed. Judd Trump has 3 times been the runner-up in this event, twice losing in a decider. But it's a little bit edgy early on, understandably. Trump missing a red you would have expected him to get. Murphy missing the short-range yellow.
Tricky little shot, that, being so close to the object ball. It's a bit of a jabby one. Got to get the cue out there as quickly as possible.
1.
So first real good chance falls to Judd. As impressive as Judd was yesterday against Ronnie, he really did just dismantle him, didn't he? And it's very, very rare we say that. But I think Shaun was equally as impressive in his comeback against Mark Selby. That is no mean feat. The way he played in that game against Mark Selby was quite incredible. Myself and Dave commentated on the first session. The final frame of that session turned out to be humongous. To pinch it and go 6-3 with the little break, he would have been absolutely delighted to have been 6-3 behind, which in itself is quite a strange scenario, but it proved to be the decisive factor.
And the way he was able to come again after the disappointment of not drawing level in the first half of the final session, finding himself 8-5 down despite playing very well. Selby made a great clearance to
14.
deny him parity. To win 5 in a row from there in the way he did was so impressive. So both players at the peak of their powers coming into this final. Judd Trump, of course, had another truly outstanding season with 5 titles, 3 other final appearances. The only disappointment being his loss to Jack Jones in the quarterfinals of the World Championship, when he was well below his best, albeit that Jones played exceptionally well, as of course he did throughout the tournament, making the final. But the level of consistency that Trump has been producing in recent years has been extraordinary. But this is a title that he would love to add to his CV. He's going for his 40th professional crown today.
22.
So just ran out of position a fraction, did Judd there. Had to take the blue to the green pocket and he's missed it. Bit of an edgy start to this one. Two heavy hitters of our sport, yet neither player has ever lifted this title, ranking or invitational. So it just adds a slight different dynamic to it as well. Another box to tick.
Seven.
In contrast to Judd Trump, Shaun Murphy's last season was a bit of a disappointment, really, despite the very good start in winning the Championship League. He didn't get past the round of 16 in any other ranking event. So he'll be very keen for this season to start very strongly, and of course to win this title
8.
would be a huge deal for him. But given how he played against Mark Selby, it was just affirmation of the fact that he remains one of the best players in the world. But it is a very edgy start to this Shanghai Masters final. Both players making probably more errors already in this frame than they did in their 2 semi-finals, certainly in the case of Murphy in the second half of his match with Selby, and for Trump pretty much all the way from start to finish. Different occasion. Obviously the extra pressure of the title being on the line. And possibly as well, both players doubly keen to impress, given that this final is being played against the backdrop of the sad passing of Ray Reardon. Sometimes you can be trying too hard. So it's just a question of settling into the match.
7.
Getting the first frame on the board would certainly help.
Both players would have been well aware of how each other played in the semi-finals as well. I know Murphy had the day off yesterday, but you can pretty much guarantee he'd have had the snooker on in the background, just keeping an eye on. He would have liked to have seen it gone all the way. And of course, Judd watched how well Shaun played against Mark Selby. Both know the level that they're both playing, and sometimes that in itself can add a little bit of pressure. They both know they're playing well, but knowing your opponent is too, it's all about the psychology out there. These early exchanges are so key, though. Get yourself settled as quickly as possible. Just break this best of 21 down. Try and win your little mini sessions. If you take care of the little sessions, the final result ultimately will take care of itself.
Green ball. $15. $16. $22. $23. Green ball.
2 more reds required for Trump to be sure of the frame.
26.
Played that one nicely. Perfect way to play that, using the 2 cushions rather than just coming direct from 1. Give yourself a little bit more room for
27.
manoeuvre. It's absolutely perfect here, Judd, to just drop on this red beneath the black.
So Murphy needs a snooker. This
33.
will surely prevent him from coming back.
$34. $41.
The red doesn't matter.
41.
That break of 41 after Shaun Murphy had missed the green. So Shaun Murphy breaking off in frame 2. Had a few chances in that opener. Both players missing balls in the early running. And of course it was Murphy's missed green when he was in that cost him, with Trump making that 40+ break to take the first frame.
Just highlight how impressive Judd Trump has been throughout this event. He's only dropped the 7 frames getting to the final, which is quite incredible. Murphy's dropped nearly twice as many at 13 frames, so it shows you really how dominant these two players have been, but in particularly Judd, to have played the calibre of player that he has and only surrender 7 frames is really quite something. He's made 700 breaks in this event as well so far. The scoring has just been quite relentless from both, really.
Yes, Mark Williams was seen off 6-2, made a couple of centuries in that one. Sijai Wee by the same score, another ton to win that match, and then of course 4 in total, very nearly 4 in a row against O'Sullivan in that incredible first session. 443 unanswered points in the process. And it basically killed the match off. O'Sullivan did win a couple of frames on the resumption, but of course he had way too much to do. So it's going to be one of those frames where the safety's played at the top end. I know you're not especially a fan of frames like this, Stephen, at least playing them anyway.
Yeah, that's it. It always seems to leave a attempt at a middle, and even if there's absolutely no value in my opponent going for it, you can pretty much guarantee they'll pot it and get nicely on a colour. I know a few of the players don't particularly enjoy this type of frame, so we might see Judd just trying to lay up to the balk area to avoid any further play like this. Just messes up the table as well. It doesn't look great, does it? Colours can quite easily run safe.
Shaun Murphy's seeking his 26th professional title today. 12 of those are ranking event titles, including that Championship League last season, which proved to be the highlight for him. Of course, Trump has now tied up the great Steve Davis on 28 ranking titles. But this invitational Shanghai Masters is one he would particularly crave, because he's been in the title match 3 times. Twice he was denied in a decider, including that extraordinary match with John Higgins in 2012 when he was 7-2 up. Higgins made a maximum and came back to win. Also lost by the odd frame to Kyron Wilson in 2015, so motivation will be high. But of course exactly the same applies to Murphy, who missed out narrowly to O'Sullivan 5 years ago.
Just looking at this red to middle, he's got a little bit of angle on it. Just had a little look at the pack of reds, whether in attempting the pot he could potentially stay on the black. Well, he tried it. He took a bit of a risk there, Judd. He played one like that similar yesterday, got nicely on the black through the reds against Ronnie. This time it hasn't worked out. He was relying on sort of a half ball flick off the left hand side of the pack there. But yeah, this is the sort of event that all the top players want to win. Only the top 16 players in the world rankings here, along with the 4 highest ranked Chinese players and 4 Chinese wildcards. So it really is the cream of the crop. if you're coming away from this event with the trophy and the prize money, you're not doing too badly. Up against the best players our sport has to offer.
Murphy now in his 42nd year. In fact, he'll turn 42 next month. And for Judd Trump, he'll be celebrating his 35th birthday next month. Scary to think how many titles he might end up with if he continues winning at the rate that he has been since he became world champion. But that's a mistake, catching the middle pocket jaw. What's the damage?
One. Rainbow.
Good strike from Shaun. That green needed some attention. Chose to leave himself a little further away from it. Struck it beautifully. So now this red to middle, and then he can set his sights on this business end of the table. Look at potentially putting the pink or the blue back on its own spot. Probably the blue. A little bit of congestion around this black spot. If he could take two reds off the table now with his hand, he would like to take away the two reds either side of the black. So in a few shots' time, we may see Shaun trying to get on them reds.
5. $11.
Well, he's come up a little short on the red he played on. The red far left of them all. Would have liked to have just been straighter on this red. Yeah, he's dealt with it nicely. The pink clearly passes through the gap of reds as well. The thing that surprised me about Shaun Murphy, not even by his own comments, you know, he says how it was one of his worst seasons of all time last year. It wasn't just the fact that it was a bad season, because, you know, you can still win matches here and there and have a disappointing campaign. He lost 5 first-round matches last year, Shaun, and for a top player, it's very rare to see that.
And that's unusual.
Shaun Murphy, 12.
We know his prowess with the rest, but he hasn't settled yet, Murphy. He missed the green in the first frame when he had the chance. Now he's missed the pink. And worse, he's left Trump right in.
1.
The shot from the pink to the red previous was the poor shot, leaving himself further away with more work to do with the cue ball. That's why he went too far for that pink, and still expected him to knock it in with the rest, though. He doesn't usually miss with that. But yeah, it's been a very edgy start from both players, really. Judd doesn't look all that settled himself at the minute. It's easy to say the players have got time, you know, with it being a long format. But it won't feel like that out there in the arena. Both players will be desperate to get a good start, and that's an absolutely delightful positional shot Judd has just played there. There's the two reds either side of the black. As I say, look to get on them as quickly as possible. He couldn't have put that cue ball any better with his hand.
5.
Brilliant shot from Judd.
7 centuries from him in this tournament, 4 of which of course came against O'Sullivan. A big win in more ways than one, I think, not just to get to a 4th final here, but to end that losing streak against O'Sullivan, which perhaps was beginning to prey on his mind a bit.
13.
So to beat him, and beat him so comprehensively, I think will stand Trump in very good stead for the rest of this campaign.
Yeah, it was to end his losing streak against Ronnie and to end Ronnie's winning streak in this event. Ronnie's dominance in this event
19.
has been a joke, to be fair. The last few years, 4 times he's won this in a row, 5 times in total, Ronnie O'Sullivan. It almost felt
20.
like he was becoming unbeatable here in Shanghai. So it was a bit of a double whammy for Judd yesterday. A brilliant result.
$27.
And Judd will be liking what he's seeing so far from Shaun Murphy. The few mistakes he's made, he didn't make those against Mark Selby.
28.
Yes, of course, he started slowly against Selby, who was much the better player in the first session and perhaps should have won it 7-2. Stephen's already made reference to the significance of that final frame of the first session, which definitely proved very important, but he can ill afford to do that again against Trump, who is a great front runner,
72.
as he proved yesterday.
$33.
Well, he's going to need a good positional shot now, Judd. He's not left himself all that nice of an angle on this blue. Going to be going in and out of balk as well. Just wants to miss the brown.
$38.
Again, a display of brilliant control. Using the 3 cushions, the pace was absolutely perfect.
39.
Judd just slowly going through the gears now. Just stringing a few together nicely. Shots like that will make him feel good.
It was actually a little bit scrappy in the very early stages yesterday against O'Sullivan, and Ronnie had a chance
46.
in the 4th frame to tie it up at 2 each. Missed a very straightforward red, never recovered really. That was the cue for Trump to take over and just dominate the table for the rest of the session.
Well, that's a careless shot, I suppose, from Judd Trump. He's just flicked the pink going up for the blue there, which not only means he hasn't now got the correct angle on the blue, but he's also pushed the pink in front of the reds, which was a big target before that shot. Now he's got to play a good shot because that pink isn't close to them either. They're pretty detached from the 3 reds. You can see only 36 points to the good as well, still 51 remaining. Well, I tell you what, if Judd is on this red to right corner, that is one of the finest positional shots you will ever see.
I don't know what the margin for error was with that, if he is on it. Possibly about half a millimetre.
Wow. Wow.
That is ridiculous, isn't it? If you're going to have a positional shot of the season competition, that would be tough to beat.
He's literally got no room for error there. To play that blue round 2 cushions, well, I can't see a better shot being played throughout this whole match. I hope I'm wrong, but that was brilliant from Judd Trump.
And just as importantly, it was the timing of it, because it's one in the frame, barring Snookers.
59.
When it looks as though Murphy might have a way back into the frame. 2 Snookers as things stand. He'll certainly be coming back. If that had gone in, he wouldn't have done. You can see Trump's disappointment at not quite killing the frame off there, but what a positional shot it was to get over the line in terms of Snookers required for Murphy.
Judgment 4.
52 now the difference then. 43 left. 3 Snookers required for Murphy. Free ball to boot, so this frame is surely over. Well, Trump's missed the free ball, so Murphy is coming back. It's been a very scratchy start from the Magician, who couldn't have played any better to beat Mark Selby, but today's another day. This is the match that really counts, with the title on the line, and it's Judd Trump who's made the more assured start. This guy can do with a cue ball defies physics.
9.
He's looked a little at sea so far, Shaun Murphy, and he'll want to cut that out as quickly as possible. Doesn't want to let this man at the table, Judd Trump, get his arm going too much, give him too much freedom out there.
17.
He's got to pile the pressure on, put him under it.
$21.
It's a good start from Judd Trump. He's doubled his lead. Shaun Murphy needs to settle.
The third break, Judd Trump to break.
Judd Trump will be delighted with the start he's made. 2-0. Just looks the more composed at the moment. Shaun Murphy has missed a few he'd normally get, not least the pink with the rest in the previous frame, which proved to be his undoing. He missed a green in the first frame, after both players had shown a few understandable early nerves. So important from Murphy's point of view that he settles into his stride now. Of course, he's got bags of time. but he'll also be conscious of what Trump was able to do to O'Sullivan yesterday after getting up ahead of steam. He was devastating.
The last time these two players met in a major final, it was back in 2019 at the International Championship here in China. Judd Trump that day won 10 frames to 3. It was a barrage of scoring from Judd and quite an emphatic scoreline. Shaun Murphy will want to get a foothold in this match as quickly as possible. Eight breaks over 50, including 2 century breaks Judd made that day against Shaun Murphy in the final. He won't want history to repeat itself. Well, that one was a country mile away, Judd. So this perhaps the chance that Shaun Murphy was hoping for. Just a pretty decent scoring opportunity. Try and just string a few together. High value colours in operation as well. Oh, live nearer than that one, Judd.
1. Eight. 9. 16. 17. 24.
So these first few shots really are key for Shaun. He's got to
25.
just steady himself now. This is a good opportunity, one that he's not had to work for. Probably see Shaun just take an extra second longer down at the table, just making absolutely certain of every shot. As I say, he needs to get a foothold in this game, and this would be a good start. A heavy scoring visit here would be exactly what the doctor ordered. Jamie Cope, the first player to make a 147 in this event back in 2008 when it was a ranking event. Since then, John Higgins and Stephen Maguire have both completed snooker perfection here in Shanghai. I'm not going to say anything just yet, but he has taken all blacks so far.
One of the most extraordinary maximum breaks we've ever seen came from Murphy, of course, last season in the shootout. I don't think anyone believed that was possible in those conditions, but he did it. Brought the house down. Incredible break, even by 147 standards.
48.
The primary focus here has to be get the frame won.
Yes, because it's been an
49.
uncertain start from Murphy. He needs some traction early in this session. Can't afford to let Trump get away from him. So there's plenty of pressure on this break, never mind any thoughts of a maximum. By far and away the priority is for Murphy to get over the line, and then you can think about other things as and when.
56. $57.
The crowd have been royally entertained all week. Trump missing that long red by a couple of postcodes. This is the result.
$64.
Well, that cue ball is just about held up. May can just float this red in and stay on the black. If he can't, he has the option to just stun across the underside of the pink for black into the same pocket.
Harry Hawkins will be an interested onlooker. Of course, he owns the top break of 141. £10,000 is the bonus.
$72.
So, frame ball.
73.
That's the first part of the equation completed.
Just praying he gets to the 100 mark so we can see him thank the crowd. Dread to think what he'll do when, or if he makes the maximum.
80.
Big chance this. The red in balk is obviously not ideal. But as you say, that maximum he made at the shootout was ridiculous, wasn't it?
81.
Some of the balls he knocked in throughout that break were incredible. Yeah, took the chance there to play up for this red near the blue. Was pretty much
88.
guaranteed to get an angle there because he was low on the black.
Well, you know what the crowd want him to do.
Pull up, flick it. Oh, it's okay.
59.
He's okay. Now, he's quite thin on this black. He may look to play on the red in balk here because the cue ball's travelling away from these two reds. Oh, he's missed it.
What a shame. No maximum break, but the important thing for Shaun Murphy was to register an early frame in this session after a slightly unconvincing opening, and he's done that. And so he halves the deficit. Shaun Murphy breaking off in the final frame before the first interval of this Shanghai Masters title match, fresh from a break of 89, missing the 12th black when there was the possibility of a maximum. But most importantly for Murphy to make a convincing break to settle into this final after quite a few errors in the first two frames from him. And Judd Trump, who missed a red by a long distance, which gave Murphy that opportunity, looked a little tentative with that attempt at the long red as well.
Yeah, that really wasn't all that close either. So Murphy straight away with sights at another red to get himself in. Oh, again, he's missed with the rest, so bit of a shaky start with the rest so far this morning. Usually very good with that piece of equipment. So a little bit of a let-off for Judd Trump. I'm sure he, as we did, expected Shaun to knock that one in.
Eight. Nine.
So he's got options here. He just had a little look at the red to the right of the pink. He can leave himself on that and try and screw the cue ball out of the pack, or he does have the option to go into them direct. So he's played for the loose one. He was always going to leave an angle on this red, so it's really all about the pot. Don't take your eye off that red, because he's going to be opening everything here. Yeah, superb. Fantastic shot from Judd. Confidently played. Very missable shot, that. Judd is particularly good at that type of shot, though. You've got one eye on the cue ball getting out of that pack of reds. It's very easy to just misplace the object ball. He's done well.
Twenty. 21. 27. 28.
This really is a golden chance for Judd to hit the interval with a 3-1 lead. The reds are absolutely
34.
perfect for him.
Thirty-five. 40. 41.
He's back perfect again. You can just look to remove a couple of the reds around the black now. The black at the minute isn't potable. Take this red and then pink and then possibly
47.
play on one of the reds either side of the black.
48. $54.
So just needs to be careful with this one. Bounce the cue ball up for the pink again.
55.
Yeah, it was a tricky little one. It was always one that could potentially go wrong, and it has gone wrong slightly. He'll be disappointed though, because he's got a fair bit of room for error. Just got into the cue ball a little bit too much there. And now, similar to the red that he knocked in early on in this frame, going through the reds, this pink is very thin to right corner. Difficult to control the cue ball as well, with the three reds being there.
Blue ball.
He's desperate to keep this break going, but he's decided the value is to push a colour safe
Judd Trump, 55.
and keep Shaun in the long grass.
Trump's second half century of the final so far to put him in charge, but not over the line. Now you can tell Murphy, even though he made the 89 break in the previous frame, not entirely happy with the way he's cueing at the moment. A little shake of the head as he returns to his chair. This certainly isn't the Murphy that turned the tables on Mark Selby, but of course he did start that match slowly before bursting into life when it mattered at the sharp end. When you're facing Judd Trump.
One.
What looks like a safe position proves not to be.
He just finds them out, doesn't he? So good at just picking out that type of shot, making something from nothing.
Oh, that's very unlucky. Very, very unlucky. The little cannon off the brown, diverting the cue ball into the pocket. So 52 the deficit for Murphy, but still 67 available. What a steal this would be, because he's been outplayed so far. If he could get out of this little session 2 each, he'd feel like he'd have won it.
This first shot is the big shot. He's pretty much guaranteed to be on black or pink. Just needs to get the red. Yeah, nicely done. So Shaun with a real chance now to at least get himself back in this frame. Judd deciding to try and put the blue safe a few moments ago. It's not as safe as he probably would like. It was a big shot he decided to take on there, on that green. He was always going into the brown, and it's always a little bit of an uncertainty as to the contact you're perhaps going to make on the brown. It was a bad one in Judd's case.
7.
Of course, it is slightly unfortunate, but you're never quite sure where that brown's going to go. It was where the cue ball's going to go, sorry. It was always heading towards the left side of the table. And that pocket's never moved.
$14. $15. $22. $23. $30.
So this is an important shot now, this red to middle. Just needs to be careful with it. Didn't have the best angle on that black. Potted it nicely. Good strike again. So he'll have one eye on that blue now. Getting to the yellow's no issue. It's the position he leaves himself from green to brown to then get close to that blue.
$37.
With the brown being so close to that left corner pocket as well, he does have the
39.
possibility to try and promote the blue from the green, but he's gone too far there. That's a poor shot from Shaun. You could see his little reaction there, gone way too far, so now got to change his plan of attack. What a frame this would be to steal. Well, this time he has got an angle on the brown and he's absolutely perfect. He could play this in such a way that he's got two chances of getting the blue. Either promote it or still be on it if you go around the back of it. Doesn't want to hit this too hard. It looks a good pace. Oh, he's been very close to pushing it over that middle.
Very significant early frame in this final. Trump would be pretty frustrated, I think, to only be level. It would be a major boost for Murphy, who's not really played in the way he'd like so far. So he would be thrilled with 2 each. And he's got second prize, having not quite landed on the blue in order to get to the pink. Although maybe Trump can just get to the edge of this blue, so this frame now right in the balance.
Possibly only really the side to side for Shaun available here. Trying to use the pink as the snookering ball. He's caught it a little bit too thick. Oh, he's gone for the double. He got close now. What's the damage? He's going to leave a shot at this blue for Shaun. Big shot to take the double on. Never quite sure where the blue is going to land as well if you miss it. So, one good pot for Shaun Murphy. This could be a massive steal. Oh, he's butchered it. No way near again. Oh, he's had a result considering, because that was a really poor strike from Shaun. Sounded a little heavy. I'm not sure if he's had a heavy contact.
I think he's looked a little uncomfortable throughout this session. He's got the highest break, the possible maximum that ended on 89, but that aside, it's been quite a tentative performance thus far from Murphy. Certainly not in keeping with what we saw against Mark Selby, but that just serves to amplify the significance of this frame if he could win it, because he can then reset at the interval.
Oh, that cue ball was going dangerously close. He's played a good shot in the end. So just the up and down for Judd. All about the pace of the blue. It's pretty good. Well, he's played the up and down with a little bit of pace to try and send that blue ball over to the right side cushion. Wanted to get the blue much closer to this corner pocket.
Saw Trump there just spend a couple of extra seconds, I should say, in his chair, almost to psych himself up for this opportunity to seal a 3-1 interval lead. 2 pots required.
Brilliant. Fantastic shot from Judd Trump. The sort of shot he would probably have expected to knock in, but under pressure, a straight, long blue, never easy, real test of your cueing. He's answered that question really well, and just this pink to take a 3-1 lead.
And in it goes, and I think that's a pretty fair reflection of the play in the early stages of this Shanghai Masters.
Thank you. Frame 5.
To pick up the title and that first prize of £210,000. Trump leads the overall head-to-head, remember, by 14-9, and he's won every time they've played in Asia. 4 times in all, 3 in China, including the final of the International Championships back in 2019. That was a resounding 10-3 win for Trump, but of course Murphy has plenty of big wins against his opponent today, not least twice at the Crucible, although he's lost the last 3 times they've played.
Yeah, and their most recent meeting at the World Masters in Saudi Arabia, the quarterfinals, Judd beat Shaun 4 frames to 3, despite Shaun making 1-2-6, 1-2-1, 82 and 58. So to only win the 3 frames from that heavy scoring again just shows you that Judd he quite enjoys playing Shaun. I think the style of both players sort of suits one another. Both like an open game. Both really heavy scorers on the day. This little mini session now is so important for Shaun. He can't really afford many more mistakes like the ones he made in the opening 4 frames. to have a look where he was leaving his cue ball. Fancied not leaving anything easy for Judd had he missed it. But he's got to follow it up with a good pot on this black. It's very thin, very tough. The double will be a great shot if this black goes in. Brilliant. Great pot from Shaun Murphy. There was pressure on that one.
8.
That might just be Murphy's best pot of the final so far. I think that 15-minute hiatus would have been most beneficial for him, just to regroup. It's not been the start he would have hoped for.
9.
But the beauty of a long final like this is that there's plenty of time for all sorts of shifts in momentum, twists and turns. And of course we saw one produced by Murphy, and coming from 6-2 behind to beat Mark Selby 10-8.
16.
So he's left himself purposely low on this red. Just working out whether to top it through or screw back out of the pack. Be bringing reds into play. I mean, he's not got enough on the cue ball there. Just wanted a little bit more zip on that white. That red to the right of the pack, slightly detached, was always a problem ball for me. Needed a bit more pace on the cue ball to draw it out of there.
Shaun Murphy, 17.
Yes, a disappointingly early end to that break after the superb pressure black that he knocked in at the start of the visit.
Well, Shaun taking the decision to play up to balk there, which was a little bit risky. Felt he was always going to be leaving this red as a possible tempter to left middle for Judd. Very thin. Yeah, he doesn't look to be overly interested in it. Oh, how close was he to that one? That probably would have looked good from where Shaun was standing. As he struck that one, he probably fancied it to go in. Brilliant shot from Judd Trump. The cross double was always an option. See, the cue ball was always heading back to Bork as well. It was pretty much a natural. So, okay, he's not landed on a colour to keep this break going, but he can try and put Shaun in a little bit of trouble.
Black ball.
Yeah, nice shot. It was a pretty straightforward snooker for Judd, but he made sure to get that cue ball welded to that yellow, and in doing so pushing the black slightly more into play as well. So Shaun just trying to lay up to this red. It's all about pace.
Foul and miss. Judgment 4. Sure. Foul and miss. Judgment 4.
So he's doing his very best here, Shaun, to just rest onto this red. Both times shy of pace, doesn't want to hit it too hard. What a fluke. Shaun Murphy took the chance to try and pot the red down the rail, and he's potted it, but through the pack. Probably counts himself a little bit unfortunate to have not landed on a colour now.
Yeah, look at the table. Someone's going to make hay, you would think.
Show Murphy won.
Well, that fluke has allowed Murphy to lay the snooker with red spread beautifully.
That's just the snooker player mentality, isn't it? You get the fluke and you feel hard done by to not have a shot at a colour to middle.
And that is exactly what Trump didn't want to do, come round the back of the red. So here's a chance that Murphy really needs to make full capital from. He's had that bit of luck, which has created this opportunity. What can he do with it?
It's mad, this game, at times. One good shot from Judd and it's cost him, really. Wow. Oh, my goodness me. What a miss that is from Shaun.
That is incredible. Well, we've mentioned that he's missed a couple with the rest, but that might be the worst miss of Shaun Murphy's career with that implement. Extraordinary. What a let off for Trump. And now one good pot here with the rest, and he could inflict some serious pain on his opponent.
Well, that red, we could be looking at that red come the end of this match as the shot that really turned things. Shaun Murphy has struggled so far this morning, or this afternoon, but that miss will do him no favours whatsoever. Judd has to capitalise on that. This will hurt.
Eight. Nine.
There's been something about Shaun Murphy's demeanour today, I think, so far in this final. He's never looked entirely comfortable, even when he was making that break that could potentially have turned into a maximum. That joie de vivre, that normal swagger that Murphy has, which he certainly did in that sensational performance against Selby, has been absent thus far for whatever reason. Trump has played within himself. He hasn't been the Trump that
14.
dismantled O'Sullivan, but he hasn't had to be thus far. And what a chance
15.
he's got here to go 3 clear.
Just before that miss, I was about to say how harsh this game can be at times. Shaun has felt forced into taking that red on down the rail from the safety that Judd had left. Judd's probably sat in his seat, seeing the red hit the jaws, open the other reds, and thinking his quid's in. All of a sudden, the red goes in and Shaun's back in control, but what a let-off. It's not always about the look you get, it's what you do with it.
22.
That type of miss from Shaun is just unforgivable at any level, never mind a major final, and Judd will know that. You can guarantee he'll be using every ounce of effort to make this chance count. The best players in the world are so good at brushing off mistakes and just forgetting about them, but I get the feeling that that one will be particularly tough to take. If the interval was to come after this frame, it may not be much of an issue, but the fact he's got 6 frames to play, or 5 more after this one, in this session with no break, just wonder how much that will play a part. He's got to pick himself up off the canvas.
Of course, Trump still has to punish by winning the frame at this visit, but he's got a gilt-edged chance to do that.
37.
He would have, I'm sure, been expecting 3-2 having come round the back of that red, the way the table was situated. So this is a real bonus for him.
$42. $43.
Shaun possibly just had one eye on where he was leaving his cue ball, trying to get nicely on the black, the correct side to get it back on its own spot. Maybe just took his eye off the pot or took it for granted, I don't know. Only he will know the answer to that question. You could see from his reaction how bemused he was by that miss.
51.
Frame ball for 4-1. And Trump has done exactly what was required.
59.
Inflict some serious pain on his opponent after that glaring error on the red with the rest. Three balls that Murphy's missed with the rest today, but that one was extraordinary. I can't imagine he's ever missed an easier ball than that with the rest. What a time for it to happen.
67.
There's still plenty of time for Murphy to hit back in this session. There's still 5 more frames to come, but the signs aren't particularly promising for him at the moment. He's going to have to raise his game significantly, otherwise Trump could be out of sight by the end of this first session. The other concern for Murphy is that Trump has still got plenty of gears to go to himself. He's played okay. Nothing particularly special from him, but just rock solid.
And just to inflict insult to injury, chance of a first century for Judd in this final. It'll be his 8th of the tournament, should he convert. His 988th of his career.
87.
This is what the best players do. Very rare you see a mistake, an elementary mistake, like that one from Shaun. But the best players, they step up and they punish you. And this black for the ton.
It was an extraordinary miss from Shaun Murphy when he had the chance to do what Trump has just done, clear the table with yet another century, the 31st.
Great. Sorry, frame 6.
How does Shaun Murphy bounce back from the disappointment of missing that straightforward red just now with the rest? Straightforward is an understatement, really, when there was a gilt-edged chance to close the gap to 1. Instead it's 3, and Judd Trump doing what Murphy will feel he should have done, clear the table with his 8th century of the tournament to move into that 3-frame lead. There's still another 5 frames to come in this session.
Not only has Shaun got to muster all his mental strength here to try and erase that mistake from his memory as quickly as possible, he's also got to compete against the snooker gods, I suppose, because sometimes when you miss a ball like that, the balls have a funny way of punishing you. The game can just be crucifying. Shaun may have a very thin edge of this pack just to the left of the pink. If it does, he's again got no room for error. Well, that's a very nice shot from Shaun Murphy. Missed the brown as well, back to baulk. Great shot. Judd's in trouble here if he doesn't have the option to clip a red thin next to the pink. He may be trying to go 2 cushions and clip the reds on the way back, but he feels he can just clip the reds. No, he's played it well. Although that flick on the brown, Shaun didn't get that, Judd did, which means Shaun can see this red to right corner. Cue ball may be heading into a lot of congestion, which I think is why he's refusing it. Not quite sure where his cue ball was going to end up. It was quite a high tariff shot for not much value. So this time there is no route back to baulk the same way they have just been playing, swinging the cue ball round.
Quite a cagey start to this frame. A lot of safety being played, and perhaps that's not such a bad thing for Murphy, just to help him get that misread out of his system. But he missed that one by quite a margin. Not easy.
Judd only able really to buy himself a couple of shots here. Shaun leaving no option for him to get back to baulk, so Shaun very much in control of this little exchange for the time being. Again, I expect him to get close to that brown ball on the cushion here. That'll be the target zone. Now that is really awkward on top of the brown. And again, with no obvious ways back to balk, he'll be just trying to rest up onto a red here, probably one at the back of the black. Wow, that's incredible. How has he found that gap? Luckily for him, no damage done.
It's one of those where if you tried to do that, you wouldn't have a hope, would you, in a million years? But when you don't want to do it, it happens.
And he does need to be careful because there are reds available to right corner. If he catches the red to the left of the black, he will leave that red. There's all sorts of things that can go wrong with this shot. Because the pack isn't tight, it's got to be so accurate. Trying to lay up to a specific ball is very difficult over this distance. Yeah, I think he's chosen the better route here. Going 2 cushions that way meant he could get to those 2 reds beneath the black a lot easier. Now Shaun, will he be tempted by this red to yellow bag?
He needs a moment of inspiration, Murphy, to kickstart this final for him. And again, the red eludes him, the in-off, just to make matters worse.
Tried to play it in such a way to leave his cue ball on this cushion, so that had he missed the red, he wasn't leaving anything straightforward for Judd, but the in-off. Again, the snooker's way of just punishing you a little bit. You would never fancy going in off there, but the red he's missed in the previous frame was unforgivable, and the balls have a funny way of just dictating. It's a strange old game.
Five. Judd 5.
Judd may have a path back to balk here, the red to the right of the pink. It may even pass to this left corner. play it in such a way that cue ball was going close to going in behind the green. And he needs the green to come to his rescue now. Oh, pick that one out. A Shaun Murphy special. Look at how well he's cued that. Wow, that is such a tough pot to just try and stun the red in. Never mind screw back to balk.
Unfortunately, the brown
Shaun Murphy won.
proves elusive, and the heavenward glance tells the story for Murphy. It was a fantastic red, and you just wondered whether that was the moment of inspiration that I referred to get him going. In the event, the chance falls to Trump again.
It was far from an easy pot to right middle on that brown, but it was a shot that was probably going to get Shaun in nicely. You could see the desperation in his expression after missing it. I just feel he's maybe trying a little bit too hard. It's so easy to do, but when you're trying to force the issue out there in the arena, it can be very difficult to find anything. And the longer it goes on, the more you search.
Seven.
Shaun will be desperate, of course he will, to get himself back into this match and play a part in this final. So far he hasn't really. Judd Trump is just sort of doing what's necessary, doing what's required. Because he's not played all that well himself.
13.
But he'll be absolutely delighted with the position that he's in. He's firmly in control of this final, with a chance to really inflict a lot of damage to Shaun in this session.
Yes, at the moment he's picking up the pieces from Shaun Murphy's mistakes. The glaring one in the previous frame, with the miss with the rest on the red, and the brown far from easy. But after knocking in such a great red, it felt like the moment for Murphy to spring to life in this match. It's not to be.
It's a really big day for Shaun as well. He earned just north of £270,000 last season, which to the average person would seem an awful lot of money. It is, but in terms of snooker, the opportunities the players have now, Judd earned 1.1 million, so it shows the difference of the last campaigns. £210,000 for the winner. This event would really lay down a marker for Shaun Murphy so early on in this season. It's possibly why he's not been able to produce anything of note just yet.
27.
It's a huge day for him. It's a huge day for both.
It's the contrast in the form he produced against Selby a couple of days ago, which is marked at the moment. Trump not having to reproduce the fireworks against O'Sullivan as yet to get himself into a position of increasing strength in this final.
32.
Particularly if he can convert this chance for 5-1 with 4 more frames to follow this one in session 1.
33. $39. 40.
Two seasons ago, Shaun had a wonderful year, lifting the Tour and the Players' Championship, runner-up in the Welsh Open as well to Robert Milkins in that memorable final. And then to have such a disappointing campaign last season, it must be tough to take, you know, when the results are coming, the trophies are coming home, the money's flying in. To then have a poor season just shows how consistency in this game is so important, particularly with how the rankings are, the rolling system. Every 2 years your points fall off unless you can defend it. But that was a big mistake from Judd. You could see he wasn't where he wanted to be on that red.
46.
A reprieve for Murphy, although on another day Trump might have left him in, which is what Murphy's been doing when he's made mistakes. .47 the difference. Still 75 on the table. Clearly to Trump's benefit with the lead he's got, that the black is currently out of commission. He wants this table to be as messy as possible from here. It's Murphy who's got to make the running if he's going to get back into this frame, close the gap to 4-2. Part of that sensational run of success for Trump last season, 5 titles, 3 other final appearances, was a 22-match winning streak. And of course he became just the 5th player in the history of the game to win 3 ranking titles in a row. The great Ray Reardon among the other players to have achieved that. That's another mistake from Murphy. He's very much out of sorts today, so far.
Horrible shot he had there, that red being close to the cushion. But Judd, with an equally horrible shot, queuing across the table, he's dealt with it nicely. That's a really good pot from Judd Trump.
And could well be a frame winner to extend his lead. 48 the difference, 67 left, so a couple more reds. And he'll be tightening his grip in this first session, and I feel as though there's plenty more to come from Trump.
7.
He's just doing enough at the moment to capitalise on Murphy being off colour.
And what it means as well is he can't be behind going into the evening session. But the way things have gone so far, he'll probably be expecting a pretty handsome lead. Shaun Murphy is going to have to find something, and find something quick.
This is frame ball. And he's missed frame ball. Well, that is a surprise. So that's a couple of errors in this frame from Trump. Didn't have to do anything with the cue ball there, but as you can see, it was quite wide. Could that be a potential turning point in this first session?
One.
Well, that's a fantastic pot from Shaun. Got over the disappointment of not landing nice on a colour, and you can see his expression. He's just fighting things out there in the arena at the minute. Great pot on the pink, and would have hoped to have had a nicer cannon to the reds, and of course when it's not your day yet, the balls don't open nicely.
Shaun Murphy, 7.
.48 now. Trump's lead, having missed frame ball pink just now. He needs one more ball to make it 5-1. It's quite unusual to see Murphy this demonstrative. He's clearly feeling very frustrated at the moment. And this table is not inviting in terms of an effective counter, as he's just indicated. Black on one side cushion, pink now on the other.
Yeah, the reactions that we're seeing are that of someone who is pretty desperate to find something. You know, we've all been there when things just aren't quite going your way, and you're scratching around trying to find some form, and you can see that little sarcastic thumbs up from Shaun because Judd, in attempting the red, pushed the pink safe. But we talk about moments of inspiration. What a plant he's potted there.
The crowd enjoyed that one, but of course he needs a colour to go with it, a high value one. 47 the deficit, with 43 now on. This has got to go. Well played.
What a shot. What a shot, Shaun Murphy. Well, the plant was outrageous, really. He very nearly pushed the black into play, but then to drop it dead weight down the rail into the yellow bag. Well, if there was ever a time to make a clearance, it would be now, and my goodness me, what a change in the game this could have. So much work to be done, though. But at least he's still at the table.
9.
Shaun Murphy's powers of recovery, a legend. We saw it against Selby. We've seen it many times in the past in big matches. Matthew Stevens, 5 down with 6 to play at the Crucible. 4 down with 5 to play in the UK semi-final against Carter back in the day. And he talked about his never say die spirit after his victory over Selby in the last 4. One thing he said, "I'm not," is a quitter. And obviously there's still a long, long way to go in this final, but he's looking for a spark. Could this be it? Trump miss a fairly straightforward frame ball pink.
The plant and then the pot on the black were just 2 shots of someone who has pretty much resigned himself to the fact he'd lost this frame, and all of a sudden he's got a sniff at getting back into it. This colour clearance though, how do you fancy these? If he clears up from here, it might be the greatest colour clearance I've ever seen.
24.
I can't imagine he'll play safe just yet either. He'll be eager to try and win the frame at this visit, because this would really hurt. No.
Where's the yellow going to end up? It could have been worse. Could have been right over the hole, which, the way things are going for Murphy at the moment, was almost expected there. 24 the difference. Trump only needs the yellow.
It's important Shaun continues to get this object ball safe, obviously, but because Judd only needs the yellow, he may be inclined to go for it a few times if he gets a look at it, which in turn may present a chance for Shaun to just chip away at a few of these balls. The clearance is far from easy, but he can keep working his way back into the frame.
By a distance, the longest of the final so far, and the biggest as well. If Murphy could somehow steal it, and he remains second favourite to do so, it would give him a very timely boost. Trump only needs the yellow.
Well, it was a calculated risk from Shaun there to play that type of safety shot, trying to get the cue ball back to baulk. Was always bringing the yellow into the middle of the table. Couldn't control it enough to get it safe, and it's cost him.
Yeah. The problems mounting for Shaun Murphy. Judd Trump has made a couple of errors in this frame, not least the frame ball pinky missed, which might have come back to bite, but it hasn't.
5.
And he's just increasing his position of strength. Murphy looking a bit fed up. And understandably so.
Judd Trump 5.
29 the difference, so it's a couple of snookers needed. Still needs a couple of snookers, even with just these 3 colours remaining now.
It looks like you have to set up these.
The black's not really any value to Shaun either. I don't think it's far enough off the cushion, so only really the pink to play in behind. It was a good attempt, but he left the blue.
And it's definitely over now. So bits and pieces in this scrappy frame, but another big one, and it's gone the way of Trump. With 4 more frames to come in this opening session, this one is done, and Judd Trump. What can Murphy summon in what remains of this opening session of the Shanghai Masters final? Judd Trump breaking off in frame 7.
You can see the warm welcome back into the arena that Shaun just received. You know, the crowd all want him to make an impact on this match. They want it to go all the way, get their money's worth. Well, let's see Murphy's reaction there. That says it all. He's played a good shot going into the pack. Good pot on the red. You're never quite sure where the cue ball is going to finish, but obviously when it isn't your day, it heads into the pocket.
And the cherry on top of the icing is that he's left a red over the hole as well. A perfect storm there for Murphy.
He must be thinking, what must I do to get into this game? But he can't really complain, Shaun. He's had a number of chances early on that, to be honest, he made a mess of. And that red he missed with the rest. I just got the feeling we was always going to be referring back to that as the part of this game where it really sort of turned on its head.
Particularly given that that chance had presented itself off the back of a fluke, which allowed him to lay the snooker, which Trump failed to escape. And the balls were all there for him. And of course Trump was then able to do what he's done throughout this final so far, capitalise on the miss from Murphy, clear the table with a century. Positionally, that has gone wrong immediately, so he needs a good recovery shot on the stretch on this yellow.
Three.
Any snooker player will tell you, we all know the game well enough to be able to see what's happening. Mistakes like that, unforgivable ones, the balls just really have a funny way of
Four.
punishing you. You know, it's not necessarily what your opponent's done. The balls just find a way of going awkward, or you're getting a little bit of bad luck here and there. It's just the game's way of telling you that you've missed a really good opportunity.
11.
But Judd won't need to concern himself
12.
with all that. He's got a job to do. His job is to inflict as much damage to this game as possible in this session, just as he did against Ronnie yesterday. Still only dropped 8 frames in this event so far, including the one in this match today. It's been a thoroughly dominant display from Judd Trump, but he has had help, particularly in this game anyway. But it's what you do with that help when it comes along.
Yes, bar the previous frame, which was the scrappiest of the match, in which he missed
27.
a very makeable frame ball pink. He has been clinical in punishing Murphy's mistakes.
$28. $31. $32. $37. $38.
So little angle on this black to go into the reds if he chooses to. Chose to play for the red beneath the black, played it nicely.
45. 46.
Beautiful control, nicely played, just pushing a red out, not going into the pack with too much pace, knew exactly what was going to happen there. Briefly referred to earlier, the last major final these two contested, the 2019 International Championship. That really was
54.
a hammering. Judd Trump coming out 10-3, led 5-1 in that game as well. Shaun never really able to respond from Judd's good start in that previous final. And it looks to be going the same way here. History potentially repeating itself. So the bad fortune from Shaun Murphy has cost him again in this frame. Potted the red and went in off.
And left a sitter for Judd Trump to start this break, and it was a good initial yellow after the cue ball had landed slightly awkwardly. But of course,
68.
the pressure is off at the moment because he's got this comfortable lead which he's about to extend. It's pretty routine for Trump so far in this final. He's not had to play at his best, which I'm sure he would have expected to have to do given the way Murphy played in the semis. He's played within himself but very effectively.
And now a real chance of a second century in this match.
'83. '89.
I would say he's probably cruising in around fourth gear at the minute, Judd, because he's not really sort of hit the heights we've seen. But he's still got a very commanding lead, and that will please him, knowing that there's still more in the tank to be able to draw upon should Murphy make a comeback
95.
and get involved in this match.
97.
So just this green for a 9th century of the tournament for Judd Trump. And just 11 away now from 1,000 for his career. And when you consider he's only been a pro since '05, that is some conversion rate. Led the tour last season with 79. Became only the second player to make a century of centuries in a single season after Neil Robertson. Absolutely prolific in the break building stakes, Judd Trump.
109.
Shaun Murphy was unlucky at the start of this frame. The in-off leaving the straightforward red. Tends to be the way when you're struggling. Judd Trump, though, is cruising. What a break. Century number 2 of the match. And he is taking all since then for him. And Trump has kicked on a couple of centuries. So frame 8, Murphy desperately needs it.
And he can't even get the break off right. He's definitely struggling. It's tough to see, particularly how well he played against Mark Selby, the way he came back and just really got his teeth into that game and found his scoring boots. Had a day off yesterday as well, so would have been nicely refreshed. Just hit a few balls on the practice table. He would have been really optimistic coming into this, playing probably the best snooker of the event so far, Shaun Murphy. But so far today, it's been all about Judd Trump. It's certainly all about damage limitation.
5.
There's no doubt about that. And even then, coming back from behind against someone like Judd, who is just so used to winning now. He just knows how to get the job done. It's going to be a big uphill battle for Shaun Murphy for the remainder of this session and this evening.
12.
A stark reminder of how incredibly difficult this game is, even for the very best. One day you can't miss, and 2 days later those pockets must seem like pinheads for Murphy.
20. 21. 28.
The other thing that Murphy is going to have to
29.
grapple with if Trump goes on to win this frame is keeping the belief that he can still win this match, because the best he could do is be 4 behind if Trump manages to bag this one as well. So even if he were to win the last 2 of the session, he'd still have a mountain to climb.
And look at the decision Judd has made a few moments ago. He was perfect on the black to go into the pack, but it wasn't the most inviting pack to attack from the black, so worked it out that the pink would not respot, which gave him access to this red. And in potting it, he can bring more reds into play.
Xu Ying, our referee, just making sure the pink is as it should be.
35.
Got to be in a direct line with its own spot, of course, without touching anything. Trump's just lost the cue ball a little there. This table, as we know, has been like lightning throughout the tournament.
He expected to go through the reds a little more than he did. He just glanced off another, and the pace he had on it was just too much to pull the cue ball up. Had he have got a thicker contact to the reds, he may have played it perfectly to bring them all into play. But again, just keeping his foot on Shaun Murphy, pushing a colour safe. Only a 36 point advantage in this frame. But he's remaining very focused, Judd Trump. You could see throughout that little interval as the referee was setting up this frame, he kept his eyes on the table, never took his eyes off the snooker table. Just thoroughly in the zone. He knows he's got a chance to do a lot of damage here. Brilliant shot
One.
from Judd Trump. Made more difficult by the fact he was playing it with pace to come across the blue to get the right angle. Did well there, had to steady himself. A phone just went off initially, got back up, reset. Knocked it in.
Six. Seven. Twelve. 13. 18. 19.
Shaun Murphy will be getting that sinking feeling again. Trump's relentless push towards an unassailable first session advantage continues. That's the ball he needed to extend his lead to 6 frames and within 4 of the title. Incredible. Not what seemed likely at the outset.
13. 31. 36. 37. 42. 43.
The full arsenal of tricks out for Trump now that the frame is well and truly secured.
49.
The red stays up, but it doesn't matter. Judd Trump is close to his first Shanghai Masters title, only 4 frames away now. And what a session for Judd Trump. 7-1 up now on Shaun Murphy, with 2 more to come in this first session of 2. 11, of course, the target for the title. Murphy has some great comeback victories to his name, but even for him, this is going to have to take something extraordinary.
Yeah, because really it's not like he's being outplayed. Judd has obviously done the better of the scoring, but Murphy has had a lot of chances in this match, just unable to convert anything of any note, bar that maximum attempt in the 3rd frame. Been a litany of errors from Shaun Murphy. Judd just picking up the pieces as you would expect.
Trump's breaks 59, 55, and the 200 breaks 1-2-2 in the frame before last.
Well, Judd up very quick and gesticulates that the cue ball may have deviated. And yet again, Murphy comes to the table with nothing to really look at. He must be about ready to just launch his cue into row's edge, Shaun Murphy, because it's a real struggle out there. Not just the way he is playing, but also the run of the ball as well now is definitely turned. All from that bad miss in the other frame that he missed the red with the rest. He must be feeling that everything he does at the minute is going to cost him. Judd's starting to knock them in from everywhere.
Six. Seven. Twelve. 13. 20.
Just studying the pack, Judd. Not the best pack to go into, really, because they are all quite spread. Had a little look at a possible plan, 3-ball through the pack of reds. Chose against it. It wasn't the best pack to go into. And now he's hoping that he's got a shot at something.
28. Touching ball.
Well, it's touching ball, so I suppose every cloud he can play away from these reds and try and put Shaun in trouble.
Judd Trump, 28.
What has Shaun Murphy got left after what has been a chastening session for him? If he could somehow win this frame and the last, well, he'd be in the same situation as he was at one stage against Mark Selby, and we know what happened then. 6-2 behind before the final frame of their first session. Ended up winning 8 of the last 10 quite brilliantly. But to do it 2 matches running and against a player oozing confidence, fresh from that superb victory over O'Sullivan, a Herculean task for Murphy from here.
There'll be a lot of Judd Trump fans in this arena, as there will Shaun Murphy fans. But first and foremost, they're all snooker fans. And they'd love to see, they'll be desperate to see Murphy make a comeback, make a go of it. They want to see a closely contested final.
Well, belated vocal encouragement for Shaun Murphy. What can he do with this opportunity? If you're in Murphy's corner at the moment and you're looking for reasons to be cheerful, well, it was only 2 days ago, wasn't it, that he played lights out. So he knows the game is there. It's in there somewhere. It hasn't come out today so far. Right now he just needs a frame. Any frame. Something to build on.
8.
7-3, given the way things have gone for him today, would be a reasonable result.
9.
It would be more than reasonable. I think Murphy would be absolutely buzzing to be 7-3 down after this session. If he can just steady himself here for this visit, just try and take the 6 reds away from around the pink, get with his nose in front in this frame, and just try and see it out, do whatever it takes to just get this frame on the board. Give himself with just a glimmer of hope.
15.
But we've all seen Shaun's post-match interviews throughout the week, and as he said, one thing he won't do is give up. He never gives up. He'll continue to dig deep and be the consummate professional. He always has done. That's always the way he's played.
21.
And he also said it's never over until it's over, which it isn't. Snooker's a funny game and things can turn around very quickly. As long as you're in there, you've got a chance.
28. 29.
So a little cannon to the red, just left of the pink, would be ideal. Leaving on the red to right corner. If he's not straight on this red, and he's slightly low, we could push the other red into play as well.
A rare spell in the chair for Judd Trump.
37. 44. 45.
That's already Trump's, or rather Murphy's, second best break of the final, which says it all, really.
The crowd enjoyed that one, seeing the red being promoted from the cushion, but this is far from easy. The cue ball close to the cushion made it difficult to really get anything on the cue ball, and that's a brilliant shot from Shaun Murphy. That's very missable. Cueing down on the ball like that, very easy to miss that one. Playing with side to check the cue ball in and out of baulk as well. Fantastic shot.
$51.
Again, he was willing that cue ball to pull up, and it's landed quite awkwardly. These are far from easy. Pocket out of his eye line, trusting to the line he selects. It proved to be
Shaun Murphy.
the difference there. If that cue ball pushes out into the table a little more, it's a much easier shot than that.
It always looked just a little wide. But for now, at least, he's back in the frame. 28 in front, 51 on. This really would be the final straw for Murphy if Trump can conjure a clearance here. Clearly there's a lot of work to do to make that happen. Doesn't look as though he's quite got the cannon required to make the pot.
It was tough to get on that red, really, from that cannon. He would have liked to have caught the right side of the red as we were looking at it, rather than the left side, the one he did catch. Just lacking a slight bit of pace, but wasn't really able to play it any firmer because he was quite low on the black. Millimetres away. But he's followed it up with a nice safety shot.
You made the point that he's still very much in the zone, isn't he, Trump? He's built this fantastic position. He doesn't want to give Murphy any encouragement about getting back into this final. Keeping the pressure on.
Shaun in trouble here. Obviously he's got to hit the red, but he's got to get it safe as well. There's nothing safe on this table. And if he goes two cushions and misses it, there's a chance of leaving a free ball.
Well, and it's Judd Trump.
Well, I suppose hitting the pink helps that cause.
Bit of work for Zhu Ying to do to replace these balls.
Murphy trying to go at this red with pace, just rely on a little bit of luck to get it safe. If the past few frames have been anything to go by, Shaun may hit this red and will probably expect to leave it the way things have gone.
Just going to take a look at still frame, I think, to ensure that the cue ball is as it should be. Seems to need to come back towards the baulk cushion. Oh, that's pretty much perfect, isn't it? Really handy, that technology, that little circle denoting exactly where the cue ball was. Pink also needs some adjusting.
可以吧？
Applause from the crowd, but there still seems to be some dispute as to whether they're back as they were. Trump directing traffic out there. That's the first time we've seen Murphy smile today. Fancy having a go? Well, at least he's not lost his sense of humour, the magician. Now, where's this all ending up? We'll find out in due course. Eventually. Eventually. Maybe. Possibly.
Well, it's good to see Shaun making a little bit of a joke. If you can't laugh, you'll probably be crying. He's done well there to get the red safe, or safe-ish.
Aside from the fact that he's done the lion's share of the scoring, Trump's safety has also been in the main very good. He's keeping the pressure on Murphy, making him earn this elusive second frame. Trouble.
Big trouble, because he can't just rest up to that red on the top cushion, because he'll leave the other one. So again, having to go at the reds at pace.
Well, and miss.
Was hoping for any sort of edge on that red.
Foul and a miss, but the red is obviously on for Trump. Only 9 points behind, everything is on.
One.
Well, he's blessed with a lot of cue power, Judd. If he's pretty straight on this green, he can just bring the cue ball all the way back down this left side of the table, play for the red into right corner. Just got a little bit of angle on it. Needs to get into it. Oh, he's chipped the white. Well, it's not very often you see that from Judd Trump. As I say, he's got so much cue power. Usually that shot is effortless for Judd.
The crowd enjoyed that one. This frame is taking on an eccentric nature. Well, Murphy just
谢谢金宝相信，
desperate to
谢谢
get this frame on the board by hook or by crook. Could have done without that, unless he ends up with the snooker.
Oh no.
He's left it. Perhaps not as easy as it looks on screen.
Yeah, if he was right behind this, it's unmissable, but the cue ball is travelling. There's not a lot of pocket to aim at. And even potting the red, he needs to get the cue ball out of there. Otherwise he'll be playing his colour from range. Decision time for Judd. There may not be all that value in taking this red on. Now you can see there's the miscue. That usually happens when a player miscues. Leaves the bit of the chalk on the white.
And that's another good safety from Judd Trump. Snookered again, Murphy.
Again, it'd be a foolish contact if he can. Just to try and get distance. Yeah, he's okay.
So often that double kiss proves to be very costly. Not on this occasion, happily for Murphy. He'll take anything going at the moment. He looks a little bewildered, doesn't he, about how things have unfolded today. This is not what he would have had in mind at the start of the match, given his performance against Selby. But that's a big error from Trump. Now here is the chance that Shaun Murphy has to take. Checking that the yellow passes the blue, which seems the only obvious obstacle, albeit the green is towards the top end of the table. Big visit.
1.
He's got a catalogue of facial expressions, hasn't he, Shaun Murphy? Regardless of how he's playing, he's always great value. I'm sure we'll see a bit of a smirk if he converts this chance.
I think there could be the ironic fist pump, actually.
Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised to see the fist pump.
No, he's just spotted that bit of chalk that Stephen referenced as a result of that dramatic miscue from Trump. Yeah, it was seemingly ingrained on the cue ball, hence some fairly vigorous polishing required to get rid of it.
Green to brown
5.
is obviously the shot. Needs an angle. He's played it perfectly. Nice to just come across the face of the brown from the side cushion. Well, decided to go 2 cushions there? I'm gobsmacked at where he's ended up. I mean, surely he's not had a bounce big enough to put the cue ball there. It always looked pretty pacey.
That's incredible, really, isn't it?
Dear me, that's a shocker.
Oh, but that's a great pot. That is a fantastic pot from Murphy, given what just happened with things going pear-shaped positionally. And that is the ball he needed. Terrific pot in the circumstances.
Yeah, the best of the match from Shaun Murphy so far.
Shaun Murphy 12.
So Trump needs a snooker.
请保持安静，谢
Crowd
谢。
getting excited at the end of this session, which by and large has been one that Murphy will want to forget quickly, but he could still get out of it, only 4 behind. And should certainly win this one now. It's been a struggle once again, only his second half century of the final, and that looked like not being enough at one stage before the miscue. But the blue has gone in, and Murphy will be mighty relieved to finally get his second frame on the score sheet.
Shaun Murphy 5.
25 the difference. It's 2 snookers for Trump, who remains in his chair. Some light relief at last for Shaun Murphy. He's still got an awful lot to do. And so to the final frame of the first session of the Shanghai Masters final. Shaun Murphy finally has a bit of traction, closing the gap to 5, but he needs this frame just as badly. If he can win it, then there's still some hope for him when they come back tonight.
Got very close to that red. Took some cue in that from the baulk cushion. Stayed with it all the way. But Murphy has a chance at this red to the yellow bag. Oh, and he's knocked it in. Brilliant shot from Shaun.
The crowd have got really engaged in this towards the back end of this session. Bit of fun and games in the previous frame. Murphy able to crack a smile despite what has been a very frustrating session for him overall, which could still end on a positive note. And that was a brilliant initial red. And you can be sure that Judd Trump will not be taking anything for granted. Yes, he's had a great session himself, but he knows what Murphy did to Selby, and he knows he's got previous when it comes to momentous fight backs.
Little delicate cannon there just to hold the cue ball and leave himself on this red. Push the other one away from the black as well. Not the best shot he's ever played. Gonna have to go around the back of the black now, maybe, unless he can get enough on the cue ball. Oh, he could just about. Well, I'd love to go into the pack here, leaving that red just above the black where it is, as a bit of insurance. Try and screw the cue ball out, knowing you're going to be on that red. Free shot to bring more reds into play.
32.
A little bit of pressure on this next one. Slightly closer to the side cushion than he would have liked. That was excellent.
33.
Yeah, that was really well navigated, because that cue ball was always going close to that red. Played it perfectly. Big visit now for Shaun. He's got the reds nice. And as I say, as bad as this session has been for him, if he can get out 7-3 down, I suppose it will probably feel like a bit of a result. It's a strange psychology to these long formats. Could have been 9-1 down, but all of a sudden 7-3 doesn't feel so bad.
38.
And you expect his level to increase for the evening session. You know, he's played wonderfully all week. He's been the player of the tournament for me so far. He'll be clinging on to that hope that he can replicate that kind of form.
39.
And he's always loved the big stage, Shaun Murphy. He's a showman. In his own words, he's a show-off. He likes being the centre of attention. He likes to entertain. Some of his finest performances have come
46.
on the biggest stages, in front of a big crowd like this. He can get inspired, and when he does that, he can become very dangerous.
47.
And all of those things, you can be sure, will be in the back of Trump's mind, even though he's going to come out of this session very well placed regardless of this frame. Murphy converts this opportunity, starts fast this evening. We could yet be in for something special.
$54. $55.
If you'd have offered Judd 7-3 before this match, the way Shaun Murphy has played this week, he'd have probably said, where do you sign me up? Because it's a healthy lead. But just the way Shaun has finished this, kept his hopes alive, it will just give something for Judd to think about. But of course, we know how good a winner Judd Trump has become. Won 5 events last season. Be looking to kickstart his campaign this year with another trophy, one that he's not yet got his name on.
The other thing that might be in the back of Trump's mind is that he had exactly this lead over John Higgins back in 2012, lost in a decider. He's lost twice in the final frame in this tournament. And this sport has a habit of reminding you of your worst moments, even when you're in a great position. All of this is theoretical at the moment. Murphy is going to have to raise his game appreciably. First things first, clinch this frame, and he's on the cusp of doing it. This black will suffice for back-to-back frames. And you've got to give him credit. We know what a fighter he is. He made that point after his comeback victory over Selby, that he never quits. He'll always give it everything, even if the cause looks hopeless, as it was beginning to look at 7-1 down. But he's finishing what has been a frustrating afternoon here in Shanghai on the front foot.
81.
Now the chance to sign off with a century.
Yeah, he's done very well here, Shaun. You can tell he's just found a little something towards the end of this by how he puts his chalk back in his chalk pocket. He really puts it back in there with authority, doesn't he, when he's in the groove again?
Yeah, the whole Murphy swagger around the table is always a barometer of how he's feeling. We haven't seen that swagger today, but maybe we could yet in the decisive session tonight. Terrific recovery shot to keep the century on track. Started this break with a lovely long red, and there it is. Murphy.
Give us the nod, Shaun. Give us the nod. There it is.
He didn't disappoint. Belatedly finding the form that did for Selby. But better late than never.
Brilliant. Brilliant end to the session, because he's really been put through it. He's had to stand up and find something, and he has done. He's at least kept his hopes alive.
And that Brown in the previous frame, when he botched the position on frame ball, was gutsy as well. At that stage, Trump might have been entertaining a 9-1 session, and then the match is over. 7-3, it's not. Take nothing away from Trump's performance. He's been rock solid, and he's been pretty ruthless in punishing Murphy's many errors in the early frames, but he knows the job is far from done.
121.
And all of a sudden he looks like Shaun Murphy again. The action is back.
126.
For whatever reason, he's looked subdued for a lot of this session, but he's finishing it in the right way.
132.
And we could yet be in for a grandstand finish tonight. It's close. Oh, unlucky. It's been Judd Trump's afternoon in Shanghai, and he smiles as he shakes Shaun Murphy's hand, but Murphy's given himself a glimmer by winning back-to-back frames, including a century